We recently took an impromptu trip to the Bahamas and stayed at the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar. So of course we have to bring you an honest review and give you everything you need to know before going here. It was actually our first time in the Bahamas, so we did a video about the airport as well. I just uploaded that to the channel, so make sure you check that out. We traveled in December 2023. We stayed only 2 nights. So since the Bahamas are less than a 3-hour flight from New Jersey, it really does make a great weekend getaway. One thing I loved about the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar, it's very close to the airport. It was only about 15 minutes, and we arranged transportation ahead of time through viator.com, which is what we use for almost all of our transportation needs from the airport, no matter where we go. This time we chose Elkin's taxi service, which is a small family-owned service, which we always like to support as well. So he was very easy to find. He picked us up right outside at the airport, and we had arranged ahead of time stopping at a grocery store and a liquor store, because the first thing you need to know, and you probably already know this, is that the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar is very expensive. So a very important thing to note is if you are going to bring in outside food is that they do not have a refrigerator or microwave in the room. They do have the mini fridge, but that is stocked with things that you have to pay for. So if you move anything around, you have to pay for it. So it's definitely a downside, especially since it is a family resort, but that's because they want you to eat at all of the restaurants that they have on site, which we will go over in this video. So a few workarounds. If you're going to be there for an extended period of time, like a week, I would rent a refrigerator. I'm not exactly sure the cost. I think it's around $50 or $100. But I'm telling you, it will definitely be worth it, especially if you're traveling with kids, so that you can have snacks and everything in the room. Or you could also buy a cooler, and they have an ice machine, so you could fill it up with ice and just keep replenishing it. So for instance, if you wanted to get milk and cereal, something easy for breakfast, we got yogurts. This could be a great solution. Same goes for drinks. You are going to save a ton of money if you buy a bottle at the liquor store and make your drinks in the room and bring cups, because you can take them to the beach and to the pools as well. And even if you're someone who is not on a budget or doesn't care how much you spend, I would still recommend doing this because it's a matter of convenience, especially if you are with your family. Having things in the room is going to really help with the experience, because sometimes it is a long walk to the restaurants or places that you can buy things. Check-in was pretty easy. We actually booked through Expedia, which I usually do not recommend. I always book through my travel agent or on my own. But for this video, I wanted to try it because so many people asked me about it. I know they just merged also with Hotels.com and VRBO. So I will do a separate video about our experience, but check-in was pretty easy. Now, we were completely shocked when our room was ready because it was before 1 o'clock. I think it was maybe 12:30, 12:45. But once we got to the room, we decided that we did want to upgrade for a better view. And I will upload the room tour in another video, but wanted to talk about the upgrade because our original room was just a basic room. That's why we got such a great deal with Expedia. But I already knew I wanted to upgrade because a room with a view is so important for me. It's a priority when I go on vacation. So we did try to negotiate as much as possible, but it was pretty expensive. It was $500 to upgrade to the oceanfront room just for 2 nights. Now, I do think if we had not booked through Expedia, we might have gotten a better deal with an upgrade, like if we had booked directly through Hyatt or used our Hyatt membership. But for me, it was worth it because when I wake up, I want to see the views, I want to see the ocean. It's a priority for me. And just to show you the difference, this is the view from our first room, and after we upgraded, this was our view. And the room is not a 10 out of 10 for a lot of different reasons, which I will review in the other video, but you're not going to be spending a lot of time in your room anyway because this resort has so many amenities. Let's start with food and drinks, and this resort has over 40 options. Yes, 40 options when it comes to eating and drinking. Now, we were only there for 2 nights, and one night we went off the resort to the fish fry, which I definitely recommend. So I can't really give you an honest review of the food and drinks, but from what we experienced, it seemed like a very typical resort. It was very, very expensive. So drinks were like $15, $18 minimum, usually more. Same with the food, and the quality was just about average, a typical resort. It actually reminded me a lot of the Marriott in San Juan that we went to. I can't say we had any mind-blowing food experiences, especially for the prices we were paying, but we did love the pizza lab. We got pizzas on several occasions and brought it back to our room, and the pizza was really good. We did try the food trucks one day. I would say it was just average, and then we decided to treat ourselves one night to go to the Italian restaurant. And for what we paid, it should have been a mind-blowing experience, but I think the food was really just average. In terms of bars and lounges, we really did love the Sky Bar. We were hoping to catch a sunset there, but we didn't. And then everyone kept saying to go to the Jazz Bar. That was really fun. And Gino was an amazing bartender, took great care of us, and they had live music as well. They do have a Starbucks on property, and one really important tip is that if you do not get there before 9 a.m., you will experience really long lines, and they do not have order ahead, and you cannot use the mobile app. So if you are a coffee person, just make sure you get downstairs early. And of course, the casino is the main attraction. We are not big gamblers, although we did try one machine and I did win a little, so I took my winnings and went on my way. In fact, this place reminded me of Vegas on the beach. This resort is huge, and we were only there for 2 nights and 3 days, so I couldn't even scratch the surface of what this resort offers. I know there are some safety concerns right now and a travel advisory for the Bahamas, but you could come to this resort and never leave, and they have plenty of security there as well. Baha Mar consists of 3 resorts in one. It's the Grand Hyatt, which is where we stayed, the SLS, which is the adults only, and then there's the Rosewood, which is the high-end luxury resort. Now, by staying at the Grand Hyatt, you have access to pretty much everything except the Rosewood. So you can use areas of the SLS if you are an adult. For instance, we went to the Sky Bar. They do have a separate pool area as well. It is an additional charge if you want to go there. I loved the beach setup. It's right next to the resort, very easy to access. There's a ton of seating. Of course, the water is beautiful. The water is calm as well, so it's perfect for families with young kids. And they actually have complimentary water activities, which I was surprised. I figured here you would pay for everything. So they have kayaks and paddle boards that you can use. They also have motorized water sports that you can pay extra for, which is on the other side. And they also have 9 different pools, a few that are geared just towards kids and families, like this one, which has an underwater aquarium, which I thought was really cool, and the kids were really enjoying that, and a little cliff jump. But they also have one that's adults only, so if you wanted to get away from that and get a little quiet, they had that as well. They do have a spa and a fitness center. Now, we didn't get to use it, but we did walk over there one day to check it out and film it for this review. Of course, a ton of shopping options. They want you to spend that money after you win it at the casino. And then in terms of sports and fitness, they have almost anything and everything that you would want. They have a golf course across the street. They have racquetball, pickleball, tennis courts, basketball courts. So almost anything and everything that you would want. They also have a big grassy area, which we saw a lot of families really taking advantage of and playing with their kids. But what blew me away most about this resort was the water park and the fact that it was included in your stay. So yes, this resort is very expensive, but the fact that they include the water park, I think really makes up for it, because I've taken my kids to many water parks and it can cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars per day. And it's a full-size water park, so I'll probably do some separate videos on it just because I did take extra footage. Now, I'm sure it gets really crowded at times. We were there in December, the weather wasn't great, and we were just walking around, so it was kind of quiet when it first opened. But if you have been there and you have any tips for this, drop those in the comments section below. Now, we did go off the resort one day. We took an excursion, of course, with Viator to swim with the pigs in Rose Island. So it's a little bit closer than having to go all the way to Exuma. I will put the link in the description below, and I will also do a separate video on it. I also recommend going to the Daiquiri Shack. It's not part of this resort, but it's right next to it by the convention center. It is a famous little spot, and it's a lot of fun. I actually found out about this through a great blog called WeGetToTravel.com. And I reached out to Ross directly, who's the creator of this blog. They also have a little YouTube channel as well to make sure that I could reference it, because it is a great article with amazing information about their stay in Nassau and at the Baha Mar. In fact, the tips I gave you about the refrigerator and the cooler were from them. Now, while I loved our stay at Baha Mar, it just kind of reaffirmed why I love all-inclusive resorts so much. Especially if you're traveling with families, it gives you that extra mental freedom where you don't have to think about paying for every single meal, every single drink. And yes, usually you can just charge it to your room, but then you're not getting that huge room charge when you are checking out. Now, the Bahamas doesn't really have great all-inclusive resorts, and they only have a few. I think they have a Sandals, maybe a Barcelo, but in general, the quality is just not there. And there's some people who just don't want to take their families to Mexico, Jamaica, or the Dominican Republic, where the good all-inclusive resorts are. In that case, this might be the right resort for you because it does have everything. Just be prepared to overpay for everything. food and drinks, necessities, whatever you may need, and usually things are an extra charge besides the water park and some of the water activities. And if you have stayed at this property, please put any tips and recommendations in the comments section below. I do respond to all comments and questions. And of course, keep following us at 3 Days and Tres Noches, where we keep bringing you those honest reviews, travel tips, and information about the destinations that we go to, and show you can have an amazing vacation in a really short amount of time.